Welcome to Law Enforcement Today, the podcast. I'm your host. My name's John J. Wiley. I'm a radio broadcaster and also retired Baltimore police sergeant. In every Law Enforcement Today podcast, we'll be joined by special guests. We'll be talking about issues that affect law enforcement officers, both active and retired, their families, friends, and supporters. We'll also be discussing incidents in the news from the perspective of those in law enforcement. Be sure to check out our website, lawenforcementtoday.com, and please take the time to like and follow us on Facebook. Search for Law Enforcement Today. Broadcasting from the studios at Glades Media in West Palm Beach, I'm John J. Wiley, and
in the studio with you, Robert Greenberg. And Jay, we got two special guests with us in studio.
Special as in unique and different, or just like it's unusual for us to have guests in studio?
Well, it's great because we've got one active Leo, law enforcement officer, and one retired law enforcement officer. So we kind of even up the sides here.
Usually most of our interviews are done via telephone. So it is kind of in a way unique and special because they're in the studio, which means they're law enforcement officers here in South Florida. Like I said, one's still active, and we'll treat him with kid gloves because, he's got special directives and orders from departments of what he can and can't say. Unlike us as retirees where we can just let him have it.
Let him go.
We can blast him. Before we get into details, big thanks to Galls.com, big supporters of law enforcement, big supporters of our radio show podcast and our app. They've been in business supporting law enforcement officers and first responders for 50 years.
Galls has just been phenomenal. They're a company that supports first responders, supports law enforcement. And next time you go to buy something, you need to buy something from a company like Galls that supports you.
I would say not like Galls, just go right to Galls.com because they're the best of the best. Their customer service is unparalleled, and they've got absolutely everything you could ever need, from their G-Force ballistic vests to clothing, gear, outerwear, tactical supplies. They've got everything at Galls.com. Now, we've got some big news, something that's been in the works for us here at Law Enforcement Today for a matter of a few months, and we're calling it Cops and Cabins. Robert, what the heck is Cops and Cabins?
Cops and Cabins evolved a few weeks ago when we were all out to dinner. Frank was there, Eric, and a few other law enforcement officers and supporters, and we came up with this idea of getting away together, getting away to an area that's secluded, away from the distractions, where some of us can decompress, get back to our roots and connect with old friends, make new ones.
And Sergeant Frank Denish, retired Boynton Beach Police Sergeant, he was there. Tell us, you're a big cabin guy, right?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a big cabin guy, but I have a fairly decent-sized cabin, medium-sized. And the really great thing about this is we're doing outdoor therapy. And one of the things that I realized when I was a rookie officer, and you're talking about Galls, that was the best thing in the world when you got your Galls catalog when you're a rookie. You're like, look at all this amazing Velcro and stuff we can get for our uniforms and gear and everything. And I just really appreciate being on board with this whole idea with Galls supporting our officers across the country. But the Cops and Cabin idea really is the outdoor therapy that we're missing in today's law enforcement officers. We run from call to call. We run from job to overtime to family to events. And we never take that time out for ourselves as we go through our careers. And it kind of builds up inside of us in a way that we can't really get rid of it. It's like baggage. So being able to go out into the woods and decompress and use some of this outdoor therapy, we can really reconnect with ourselves. So when we go home, we can connect with our families, and we can also be better officers in our community as well.
I don't want people to get the wrong idea. It's not like we're going to be roughing it in the woods. My days of, digging the latrine hole and all that stuff in the tent, they're long gone. We're staying in a high-end cabin in Northwest Georgia.
You got a pool table, jacuzzi.
Wi-Fi for Robert. They've got everything we could ever need. Big screen TVs, tremendous views. One of the great things about it, obviously, going to be is hanging out with brother law enforcement officers. And this is something we want to make into a national movement involving police families, police officers. But let's talk about the inaugural event of Cops and Cabins. We've got a film crew coming to film this pilot for a potential series. Tell us about the film crew.
I know when we hear film crew, cops get a little nervous, including myself, Jay, and everybody, but it's going to be a fellow law enforcement officer from Atlanta or retired from Atlanta PD going to be joining us up at the cabin, and there'll be nothing as far as making anybody feel uncomfortable. Some people like the camera, like myself and Jay and Frank, and other people that don't, but we're just out there to humanize the badge, let people know we're real people. We're not the so-called blue monsters we're made out to be from the media. And I think what's really going to be exciting and important about this is everybody that's going to our inaugural or pilot Cops and Cabins has a different reason. You know, it's a different reason and a different focus why I want to go, why Jay wants to go, and Eric. And so I think that that's a very important factor to identify and to acknowledge.
And I'm glad you brought that up. Eric Reynolds, who's an active law enforcement officer, is still on the job. Why are you looking forward to going to Cops and Cabins? What is the big attraction for you?
For me, it's just getting a break. As we discussed on your podcast before, I was in a shooting in the line of duty, and my life has changed since that date back in June of 2012. And I've never quite been able to relax. You know, like a lot of officers, they never relax. Especially when you've been involved in shooting, you never, ever can just turn it off. And I know discussing this with some other officers that have suffered PTSD like myself, that we're really looking forward to just, like I've taken trips with guys before, going to baseball cities and all-star games or this or that, but I'm still on edge. I'm thinking, what can happen here? Yeah. You know, I'm not relaxing. I come back sometimes even more stressed out. So this is going to be an opportunity to get out there, where I'm going to be around my fellow officers, retired or active, and I don't have to worry about anything. I'm not worrying about lights and sirens, or the only noises at night I want to hear are animals creaking through the woods or something like that. I want to sit around a campfire. Can't tell you the last time I did that. And just drink a couple of beers, smoke a cigar, tell some war stories, good and bad, and just meet new cops that are going through the same thing. And I think it's just going to help us out, make me better as a man, father, and as a police officer.
Excellent points. I found that no one understands me like law enforcement officers do, whether it be active or retired. The wonderful thing about it is I don't have to explain. If we start talking about a bad situation we've been through, like Eric was talking about, I don't have to answer questions. They already know. Whether they've been through an actual one themselves, they've been on scene, they know about that kind of violence, and it's understood. It's not a situation where they have to answer the Spanish Inquisition. So that's an aspect I'm really looking forward to.
When we were weeks ago, when we were talking about this, in my mind, it was a hit. It was a hit when we started talking about it, and I could kind of see the reaction from Eric from the corner of my eye on, wow, that's awesome. So I'm sure it's going to be really awesome for other people, and we want you to get involved. Maybe involved with our next trip, involved with this trip.
Start your own.
We'd be happy to join in. The big key points that we want to bring out to you is that we're going to be traveling, and on our way up to the cabin, we will be up traveling the turnpike and then hitting I-75 and heading north to Georgia. So we're going to be announcing areas that we're going to be stopping along the way. We'd like to meet fellow officers, active, retired, law enforcement supporters, and we're going to be announcing that on our Facebook page. So please like and share those posts so that other active, retired, and the law enforcement community as a whole will find out what we're doing, ask questions, and participate in this new idea that we're launching here at Law Enforcement Today.
And it's going to be going on October 5th. The 8th is going to be the inaugural event, and we're going to publicize it a lot. We're going to give our travel itinerary, and we're looking forward to it. Where can people get more details?
Well, like I said, we're going to, we started a Facebook page called Cops and Cabins, and we encourage you to like and share the posts on there. We're going to use Law Enforcement Today's Facebook page to get the word out, and then we're going to be cross-posting based both on Cops and Cabins page and Law Enforcement Today page on what we're doing, and we encourage interaction. This is our idea, folks, but it's not called Robert and Jay's Cabin or Frank's Cabin. It's called Cops and Cabins. So
for a reason.
And if you're in law enforcement, active or retired, or you're a law enforcement supporter, it's something we want you to participate in. We don't have all the details ironed out as far as where we want to go with this, but if you'd like to get involved, please contact Eric, Frank, Jay, myself, or anybody that's already affiliated with Cops and Cabins.
One of the things about Cops and Cabins that I'm really, really excited about, actually there's many, many things. One is every time you turn on the news, I don't care whether it's radio news, which, by the way, I work in radio business, television news, print media, newspapers, every headline involving police is always slanted and horrible. And the facts that justify the officer's actions are usually buried way down below where people don't read them. Cops and Cabins is an opportunity for people to see what police are really like as human beings, as individuals, without the filter of the media being involved. And for me, I'm very excited about that. How about you?
Well, that's just one aspect. To me, it's also for the people that participate in it, what they get out of Cops and Cabins. And we all know back from our childhood days, you get what you put into something. So, Cops and Cabins is going to be an idea that's going to be awesome to some, and some people are not going to be interested at all. But the ones that are going to be interested, we're offering this opportunity to be a part of a law enforcement community that likes to get together, that likes the outdoors, that likes the camaraderie, and all those special things that happen when a group of like-minded people, in this case, law enforcement, are together.
Eric, you and I and Frank and Robert, we all went out for dinner about 3 weeks ago when Kyle Reyes was in town filming. And one of the things we talked about, and I agreed 100%, you mentioned something about how nice it was to get together with other law enforcement brothers and sisters away from the job. Would you expand upon that?
I really enjoyed just not only being around other officers, but other officers from other states and other cities. And it brings a lot more interesting conversation than the same cops you always work with, and you're talking about the same problems that you're having at the police department or whatever. But what I think this Cops and Cabins is going to do, I'm looking forward to the barbecue, because Frank, I know he's driving, but you don't know, he can also cook. So I think Frank's going to be also cooking for us. So maybe we got to help him out with buying the meats and stuff like that. But when you're sitting around with other cops and you can just, like you had said earlier, Jay, the minute you start telling a story, you don't have to explain what the procedure is or what you're supposed to do. It's you just get into the meat of the story. And whether it's a funny story or a sad story, and it's nice to just sit back and relax and hear it and go, yeah, man, I've been there, and it's just, I can't wait. I'm so excited to go up there. I'm going to miss my kids a little bit, but, definitely miss the wife more.
You'll have them around for a long, long time. My oldest just turned 29, and she went from 8 to 29 in the blink of an eye. Frank, one of the things that Eric just mentioned, and I'm sure Robert can agree with this too, is when you're on the job and you get together with a bunch of coworkers in the same department, inevitably what winds up happening is the bitching and moaning, complaining about certain individuals. I mean, you think that police are big tough guys, but and gals, but there's a point where it turns into like a teenage gripe session. And that's one of the things I think Eric just hit on, being from different agencies and different perspectives. That'll be gone. You miss those days of complaining?
Absolutely not. And I think the great thing about what Eric was saying was the fact that we can reconnect with the reasons with our brotherhood and sisterhood across the country of why we got into law enforcement to begin with. We didn't get into law enforcement because we're going to let some guy in command staff put his thumb on our back and push us down. We got in law enforcement to do something for our country, to do something for our community, to serve a higher good than we normally could at a different job. We go out there and sacrifice our lives and our families and our paychecks and our well-being just so we can do something, the good versus evil. And then when you put a group of us together, I don't care where you are at. I was at a Burdines one time on Christmas Eve buying my Christmas present.
Shopping at Christmas Eve. Who does that?
So I see this guy running through the store, and based on my experience, I was like, he's running from somebody. And then I see my buddy, the police officer, behind him. So when he got to the doors, I wasn't in uniform. He had a little bit of a surprise, but that's what the brotherhood did. We took care of business. And that's what we're doing with this trip. We're bringing our brothers and sisters from across the country together to remember why they became law enforcement officers in the first place, and continue our fight good against evil, because that's what we're fighting every day, especially with the media and everything else that's going on out there.
Yeah, I know the political divide. And for people who are interested in a career in law enforcement, I highly encourage them to watch as these series come available for Cops and Cabins, and you get an inside look of what law enforcement officers like. Robert, you've been doing this for 31 years.
It's been a long time, but like I know this question was asked to you recently, wouldn't change it a bit. One of the main reasons, and it brings back to this whole concept of cops and cabins, is I got in to law enforcement for the community, to make a difference. You are disillusioned when you're new on the job that you're going to make a difference. But now I see cops and cabins as a way to put a small community together to really make a difference in active and retired law enforcement officers' lives. For me, it's that brotherhood. It's that like-minded community that this is going to be all about. And so that's what I'm looking forward to most. It also affords me the opportunity to meet guys like Frank and Eric, which we never would have had if it wasn't what we're starting to do with law enforcement today. And that's given me new vision and new juice in the tank, so to speak, meeting guys that I never would have met unless we were opening these doors. And that's what I look at as Cops and Cabins, is opening up another door. So I'm really excited. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think it's going to be phenomenal.
That's kind of like the whole glamour to the road trip when we were teenagers and young adults. Is like, well, let's go to Ocean City. We don't know what we're going to do, where we're going to stay. We'll just go, we'll have a good time. And that's part of the appeal to me as well. I know we're going to Northwest Georgia. Does anybody know the actual area we're going to, town name or?
Morgan, I think it's Morgan Grown. Help me out.
It's Morgan something or other.
Right.
Morgan
but it's right by the Blue Ridge. It's on the
so beautiful.
It's really close to the Tennessee border. It's in the mountains. You can't ask for a better pilot or inauguration liftoff to Cops and Cabins. I'm sure there's other beautiful areas around this country. And that's what I'm saying. If you've got an area and you want us to come, or you want to start your own Cops and Cabins, you want to see Jay and I, or Eric and Frank, or anybody else that's involved with this pilot, and come and visit your state, your cabin, your country, and meet other officers, please contact us. We'd love to hear from you. And we want, this is not just for us. This is for everybody in the law enforcement community, both active, retired, and family. So
we're also going to be going out to different locations too, like going out for dinner. So we'll get to premiere different parts of that area. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And people get a chance to meet us, and we get to have fun with everybody else as well, away from the uniforms, away from all the... Most of the times we have interactions with police, it's something bad has happened. This is an opportunity for people to have interactions with police officers when nothing bad at all is going on. So it's a totally different dynamic, and I'm thrilled about. It's October 5th through 8th. That's the inaugural one. Cops and Cabins, Cops and Cottages. Go somewhere quiet, disconnect, get away from the grind. Eric made a good point. When I go to a big city, especially Baltimore, where I was policing at, my mind automatically switches to, I know what happens here. So it's like if some guy comes up and he says, do you know what time it is? I don't dare look at my watch because I know what's coming next. So the whole point is to go somewhere where you escape all that without being really dramatic, but get in touch with part of your humanity again. Get in touch with relationships with other individuals that are important to you, your family, your spouse, your children, other officers who may be retired and feeling like they're left all alone. Bring them along as well, or just get a bunch of police together. However, bringing a bunch of police together, that could get ugly real fast. We had many shift change parties that I can't talk about on the radio, podcast, or anywhere else back in the day.
That's where you get this combination or the oil and water of both active and retired, because I think that I look at the world completely different after my 31-year career than I did when I was only 4 or 5 years in.
Oh, yeah.
So I think when you bring the experience with the new and the different blood and the different views and the different parts of the country and different officers in, I'm sure that it's going to go much smoother than when we think. And
there should be opportunities for lots of unique encounters, unique situations, good dialogue. Should be lots and lots of fun. Again, it's being filmed by, can we say his name?
Sure.
Patrick Shavers, who's did the documentary Officer Involved, which, by the way, if you've not seen it, check it out. It is a full feature-length documentary, very, very high-end stuff. He's really excited about this, as are we. Cops and Cabins. We got our Facebook page. How do people find that? Just look for Cops and Cabins.
Yeah, we're going to do some links, and Frank will help us. Eric, everybody's going to start sharing the link and tagging Cops and Cabins, so it'll be easy for you to find us. You can go to Law Enforcement Today. We'll do some posts and tag Cops and Cabins, so you'll actually be able to find the Facebook page. Anybody out there wants to donate and put together a website for us, we're
more than receptive.
Correct. So, like I said, that's
website and hosting.
Yeah, and that's joking, but seriously, if you are out there and you are passionate about this concept and this idea, then get involved. There's so many skills that law enforcement has picked up and that we don't utilize. It's kind of like, I remember Hurricane Andrew, and who knows how to change a tire? Mm-hmm. I mean, being dumb and ridiculous about it, but there's always somebody in the group that knows how to tie a slip knot because they're a fisherman, or knows how to start a fire when you don't have matches because they were in the Boy Scouts. So it's amazing when you put like-minded people together what you're able to accomplish.
So Cops and Cabins, we're really looking forward to it. Frank, final words from you.
Yes, we're going to put some information on our website. You'll see it on Adopt a Cop USA, and on our post, we're going to put a link on there to Cops and Cabins, and also on LinkedIn, we'll be promoting the program as well. And thank you very much for having us on the show today.
And Eric Reynolds, any final words from you, my friend?
I'm looking forward to meeting some new people. I mean, I know we met Mike from Tennessee, or I'm on the phone talking to him, but I can't wait to see him. Just be safe out there and hit him with the hind.
Yeah.
And what Eric said is really important. He's been talking to somebody, a month or two over social media. He's never met him. And now we're getting together and going to meet him. How many people have you met over social media that you haven't gotten to meet? And this is an ideal way to bring those people together in an unbelievable setting.
There's so many people that we've had to interview I want to meet. That, by the way, this is also something you could do. In the meantime, if you got a little Cops and Cabins things going on, with you, a bunch of police, active, retired, or you and your family, shoot a little video and send it to us. We'll
Absolutely.
Put it on our Facebook page. We want to see what you're doing too. So be sure to do that. Check us out, lawenforcementtoday.com. We'll have our own website for Cops and Cabins in the near future. You can check us out on Facebook. That's Law Enforcement Today. Also, Cops and Cabins on Facebook. And have we gotten other social media with Cops and Cabins yet?
No, we haven't because, like I said, it's pretty fresh and new, and this came together very quickly. I'm sure if you haven't already, download our app.
Mm-hmm. Free app. And the reason why I tell you that is we'll be pushing out some information about Cops and Cabins on there. So, we have a diverse way of you to stay informed, not only about law enforcement today, but this program, Cops and Cabins, Adopt a Cop, anything that's pro-law enforcement. If Jay and I can help you out, Frank or Eric, just hit us up. Contact us on lawenforcementtoday.com. Down at the Contact Us page, hit us up there or on our Facebook page, and we'd like to hear from you, and we'll definitely get back to you. So on behalf of everybody associated with Law Enforcement Today, Robert Greenberg, Jim McNeff, our guest here, Sergeant Frank, Eric Reynolds, I'm John J. Wiley. Till next time, see ya.